Every athlete carries a story, some written in gold medals, others in silent battles, in early mornings and aching legs. But sometimes, a story isn't about victory at all. Sometimes, it's about the heart behind the race. This is one of those stories. A story of a young runner from a small nation. A boy who never stopped running. Not for glory, not for fame, but for something deeper. This is the story of Augusto Ramos Soares, the boy from Timor-Leste, who ran not to win, but to show the world the meaning of spirit. Stay with us. This isn't just a story about sports. It's about hope, unity, and the quiet beauty of human connection. You're listening to Soulful Tales. Timor-Leste is a small nation nestled between Indonesia and Australia, born from decades of struggle. Gaining its independence in 2002, it's one of the youngest countries in the world, a place where dreams are still fragile, but burning. Amidst the winding hills and dusty roads of this humble country, a young boy grew up watching runners pass his village. They weren't Olympic champions, just neighbors, postmen, market women. But to Augusto Ramos Soares, they were giants. He ran barefoot at first, chasing shadows in the golden dusk. Sometimes he ran just to feel the wind fight back, sometimes to escape the hunger. Sometimes because running was the only thing that made him feel free. At school, his teachers noticed his quiet discipline. At home, his parents noticed the wear on his only pair of shoes. Eventually, a local coach handed him a pair of secondhand spikes. "You run like you mean it," the coach said. "Maybe one day, you'll show them who we are." Augusto didn't dream of being famous. He dreamed of representing Timor-Leste with dignity. For a nation that had known so much loss, he wanted to be a symbol of hope. Fast forward to 2022. The 31st SEA Games were hosted in Hanoi, Vietnam. Athletes across Southeast Asia gathered for the biggest regional stage. Among the competitors in the men's 5,000-meter final stood towering names from Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia. And then there was Augusto. Slender, quiet, wearing the red and black of Timor-Leste. He stood alone, without a support team, without trainers adjusting his starting blocks. Just him and a heart that had known what it was to run without applause. When the race began, Augusto didn't surge forward like the favorites. He kept his pace steady, breathing through his nose, keeping form. The Vietnamese athletes pushed ahead, shoulder to shoulder. The crowd roared. But something about Augusto drew eyes. Maybe it was the calm in his face, or the rhythmic consistency of each stride. As the race wore on, he began to pass runners who had burnt out too soon. One lap at a time, one heartbeat at a time. The stadium realized he wasn't just there to participate, he was contending. In the final stretch, the leader, Vietnam's Nguyen Van Lai, broke away. The home crowd erupted, but behind him, charging in second place, was Augusto. Eyes forward, arms pumping. The finish line came fast. Augusto crossed it less than 2 seconds behind the gold medalist, silver for Timor-Leste. For a country with barely any athletic infrastructure, for a runner who trained on hills and gravel. But what happened next stunned the region. Augusto didn't collapse in exhaustion. He didn't cry in frustration. He looked at the winner, Nguyen Van Lai, and smiled. Then he did something no one expected. He grabbed a Timor-Leste flag and a Vietnamese flag. He jogged alongside the winner, holding both flags high, doing a full lap of honor. The crowd, tens of thousands, stood up in waves. Tears, applause, roars of admiration. Augusto wasn't just celebrating his silver medal. He was honoring the host country, the champion, the spirit of sport. One moment, one gesture, and a stadium was united. The photo of that moment went viral. Augusto, in red and black, holding the Vietnamese flag in one hand and his own in the other, running beside the gold medalist. Two runners, two nations, one lap of shared joy. Vietnamese media called him the hero of humanity. Commentators wept live on air. Fans who had never heard of Timor-Leste now followed his name. Later in interviews, Augusto said, "I didn't win gold, but I gained something more. Respect, friendship. That's what sport is for." That lap wasn't just a cool-down jog. It was a statement that even in competition, we can celebrate each other. Even when we don't win, we can uplift others. And that is sometimes greater than gold. Back in the athlete's village, Augusto returned to a modest room with no entourage. No agents, no PR managers, just teammates from Timor-Leste clapping him on the back. They ate dinner quietly that night, rice and vegetables. But their hearts were full. Vietnamese athletes visited him later, bringing gifts, hugs, and handwritten notes. One sprinter gave him a new pair of shoes. "To help you fly in the next race," he said. The SEA Games organizers awarded Augusto a special recognition, not for athleticism, but for sportsmanship. Back home in Timor-Leste, children watched him on TV and pointed, "That's our brother." The president sent him a handwritten letter. It ended with, "You reminded the world who we are." But Augusto didn't let it change him. He still woke up early to train, still ran with kids in his neighborhood, still believed in the quiet power of doing the right thing when no one's watching. Augusto continued running after the SEA Games. He didn't become a celebrity. He didn't chase sponsorships or spotlight. But in every meet he attended, fans remembered him. There's something timeless about humility. In a world obsessed with winning, Augusto reminded us that dignity lasts longer than medals, that generosity echoes further than victory laps. He was invited to youth camps. He told stories to young runners, not about technique, but about heart. "Run for something bigger than yourself," he told them. "Run for meaning." Years passed. But the image of that lap, with both flags, still floated across screens and hearts. It wasn't just an athlete's tribute. It was a lesson. Every race ends. Every runner stops eventually. But some moments refuse to fade. That lap around Meeting Stadium became folklore. In Timor-Leste, a mural was painted of Augusto's lap. In Vietnam, he remains a household name to those who witnessed it. What did he teach us? That greatness isn't just about crossing first. It's about how we carry others. He showed us that the smallest nation can carry the biggest heart. That unity, kindness, and humility are not signs of weakness, but strength. Augusto Ramos Suarez ran more than a race that day. He ran into history. Thank you for joining us on this journey. In a world often obsessed with gold and glory, may we not forget the silver that shines brighter. May we remember that true champions are those who lift others up, who run not just with legs, but with heart. If you were moved by this story, consider sharing it. Let it run further than the track. This is Soulful Tales, where stories don't end at the finish line.